Hello, and this is Emma here, and I am here to present Yoga is for Everybody, which is a webinar about discovering 5 insider secrets so that you can rock your first yoga class with confidence. So I would love to know a bit about you and why you're here and to welcome you here. So thanks so much for being here. And if you can see the chat box there, you can write in where you're from, and a little bit about your experience with yoga. I would love to know that. Otherwise, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Emma. I am a health coach, a yoga teacher, and I'm also a personal trainer. And I just love teaching yoga, and from speaking to my current clients, I know that a lot of them say they didn't start yoga earlier because they were really nervous about a few different things. So I thought I'd put together this program or this webinar just to show you why yoga is quite easy, why everyone should be doing it, and just to allay some of those fears that some people have. So what I'd like you to do is actually eliminate distractions. So you've decided to do this webinar because you wanted to learn more about yoga. So I really recommend that you turn off the phone, close the door if you've got an office door or you're at home. Maybe turn off your Facebook. That can be the easiest distraction. And just settle in now and allow yourself the time to actually learn more about yoga and what it can do for you. So I just wanted to say hello and just let you see my face. I will be presenting from from my PowerPoint presentation for most of the time, but I just wanted to say hello, and my name is Emma. And as I said, I can remember when I went to my first yoga class, which was a long, long time ago now, and even 5 or 6 years ago, yoga wasn't a big part of my life. So I know what it feels like to want to try, to know that it's good for you, but not really know where to start. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you right now, how to get started on your yoga journey and how to make life feel really good. Yoga does so much for you, so I can't wait to share that with you. So hello, I'm Emma, and I look forward to speaking to you. Now, if we just go into the next slide, I've got some ideas about why you might be here. So you're here to try yoga, and there's a few things that are holding you back. So first of all, you think you won't be able to do it right. So maybe another word for this is that you're a perfectionist. You're also worried that your body shape is all wrong, or you're not flexible enough, or you won't be able to actually achieve the poses. Perhaps you can't find the time or the class time that suits you. So you've got a really busy day, you can't find a class that would suit you or somewhere nearby. Perhaps you're even in a town where there's no yoga at all. So how can you start a yoga class or a yoga journey if you can't actually get to a class? But, you know, the other word for this might be procrastination. So maybe you're procrastinating against actually starting something that could be good for you. Who knows? And maybe you've tried it once, but you didn't quite get it. So you're not sure if you enjoyed the experience, not sure what it did for you, and sort of haven't felt the need to go back, but sort of it's niggling in the back of your mind. Maybe I should be doing yoga. Everyone says I should be doing yoga. And one of the other big reasons is you're not really sure what the hype's all about. So at the moment, yoga is actually one of the biggest trends in fitness at the moment because people are seeing the need to slow down, to calm down, to be good to the body rather than thrashing it at the gym all the time. But, you know, maybe you're not quite convinced about the hype and would like to know a bit more. So that makes sense as well. So you're here because you're a perfectionist, you're worried about your body shape, you're finding that finding the time is hard, or you can't get to yoga where you live. You didn't like yoga the last time you tried it, and you're not sure what all the hype is about. So if any of these ring true for you, it'd be great if you put the number in the chat box. But if there's another reason why you might be here, then you might like to put that in the chat box as well. I'd love to hear from you. So as I've promised, what you'll learn today are 5 insider secrets so that you can rock your next yoga class with confidence. Wouldn't that be amazing? So I think what holds a lot of people back, as we've said, is that confidence level of feeling a bit nervous and afraid. So I hope to take away some of that fear by taking you through these 5 secrets. So the first secret, and I'm going to go through them quickly now, and then I'll go through them in a bit more detail. But your first secret is that no 2 yoga classes are the same. So just because you've experienced one type of yoga doesn't mean you'll experience the same thing again. That could be a good or a bad thing. Secret number 2 is that no one's actually looking at you during a yoga class, except maybe the teacher, hopefully the teacher. But really, a yoga experience, even in a class, is really just for you. Secret number 3 is that yoga is for all shapes, sizes, fitness levels, sexes, everybody. So it doesn't really matter if you've got injuries or not, because things can be modified and adjusted for every single person to enjoy yoga. And secret number 4, I'm just going to give you some top tips on how to deal with your first class, how to prepare for it, what to expect, what to wear, all those kind of things. Sometimes those kind of little details can hold us back from doing what we would like to do. And number 5, I just want to get you started. So I'm going to share with you 3 poses that you can start to practice straight away. You might even want to kick off your shoes and try them right now. And this will be a way for you to start your yoga journey right now, a little free mini class. How exciting is that? So what do I know about all of this? Why have I decided to talk to you about yoga? Well, this is me about 7 years ago, so back when I was about 35, and I'd started to put on a bit of weight. I was exhausted, I was stressed. I was living in Sydney at the time, and I had a really sort of stressful, high-paying corporate career, which I did not enjoy, but it took up all of my time. And so when I wasn't at work, I was at home having a few drinks and eating lots of chocolate and not really taking care of myself because I was just so bloody tired. And if you look at my eyes in this photo, even if you don't know me, you can see my eyes kind of look a little bit dead because I was just struggling at this point in my life. I felt a bit trapped. Around the same time, actually no, a couple of years later, I got a little flyer in my letterbox about some local boxing classes. So I dragged a friend along and we decided to try. So that was in January 2012. And the boxing just kind of woke me up. It made me start using my body again. It made me realize that I liked being active, and it really made a big difference to my life. It made me really connect to my body again. And then 5 months later in May, I was writing these sort of things on Facebook. If you told me a year ago that my ideal Saturday would be early morning boxing followed by a trip to the health food store, I'd never believe. God, I've got drinks with these guys tonight to balance things out. So I'm still about balance, but I'd really started to make changes after even 5 months. So I was starting to feel so much better already. And the other thing that kept sitting in the back of my mind was just that I was concerned about stress levels in my life. This is a photo of me with my father, and unfortunately my dad died at 54 of a heart attack. And he was a relatively healthy guy, not really overweight or anything like that, but he was definitely a bit of a stress head. So unfortunately, I could see myself going down that same track and wanted to really preserve my sanity and preserve my stress levels and start to make some changes. So moving through this boxing experience, bringing the body alive again, helped me decide to make some changes. So from there, I decided to move to Albany, so all the way across the other side of the country, to be closer to family, but also to change my career. So I started to study health coaching. I've studied personal training, and now I've studied yoga as well. I've taught over 200 classes of yoga now, and I just love it. And I've seen how it transforms people's lives. I've seen how it's transformed my own. I'm a much happier, healthier, more vibrant person now, and I can see the difference in my body. I can see the difference in my energy levels. I can see the difference in my happiness. And what I love now is to bring yoga to other people. So I really think yoga should be a part of everybody's life, and I'm really excited that I can share this experience now through things like the yoga challenge and also these webinars. I'm obsessed is really what I'd like to say about yoga. So a quick warning here, very important, just so you know, yoga has been known to cause health and happiness. So if you are ready to feel a bit healthier and to feel a bit happier, then here we go. You are in the right space. So grab a pen and paper. You might like to make some notes as we go along, and I'm about to get started. So just make sure you've got a pen and paper nearby and you can write down whatever takes your fancy and whatever inspires you. So we'll start with the big question. What exactly is yoga and why should you do it? Well, according to Yoga Australia, yoga is recognised as an ancient system of philosophies, principles and practices derived from the Vedic tradition of India and the Himalayas more than 2,500 years ago. It is a system that recognises the multidimensional nature of the human person and primarily relates to the nature and workings of the mind based on experiential practice and self-inquiry. In yoga, the body, breath and mind are seen as a union of these multidimensional aspects of each and every human being. The system and various techniques of yoga cultivate the experience of that union, leading to greater integration of being, internal peacefulness and a clarity of the mind. Doesn't that sound good? It is a system that is designed to cultivate health and happiness and a greater sense of self-awareness and higher consciousness. Yoga cultivates health and well-being, physical, emotional, mental, and social, through the regular practice of a range of many different techniques, including postures and movement, breath awareness and breathing exercises, relaxation and concentration, self-inquiry, and meditation. Whew. What I think yoga is it helps you to feel good, helps your body to strengthen, it helps you to feel more resilient, it helps you to become more flexible, and it helps you to learn to breathe. And it gives you an hour out of the day or the week that's just yours. So yoga can also be a state of mind. So when the mind is still. So how does that sound? Who's got a chattering mind? Who's got a mind that does not stop? I know that I do from time to time, or I have had in the past. But it's really good now to know that, you can do something like yoga and actually allow yourself that time out. Still mind. The thing about yoga is it's hard to be stressed about other things when your body is busy with breath and movement. So when you're holding a pose or you're in the middle of a practice, there is no time for your to-do list or to worry about what's coming up next or what the neighbors said to you the other day or whatever's on your mind. There's no room for that. So yoga is great for mental health as well because it helps you to stay focused and just really lose all that chatter in the mind. Plus, I love yoga because, as I said, it strengthens the body, it increases flexibility, can challenge and benefit your cardio as well. So let's get into the secrets. As I said, secret number one are no two classes are the same. What do I mean by that? Well, firstly, there's a lot of different types of yoga. It's easy to think that there's just one type, but there's actually a lot of different types. So first is Ashtanga, which is a rigorous style of yoga based on ancient yoga teachings. It follows a specific set of poses in exactly the same order every time, and the poses are linked to the breath. So it can become quite a hot and sweaty and physically demanding practice. Then there's Bikram, which a lot of people have heard of. So that's yoga held in a hot room, and it does follow the same 26 poses every time. Different poses to Ashtanga, but it will have the same poses every time. Hatha is a generic term for nearly every type of yoga that's taught in the West. So usually if you see a Hatha class, it's a sort of a gentle introduction to yoga. Iyengar is a meticulous type of yoga, pays a lot of attention to finding the proper alignment, and it uses lots of props with highly trained teachers. And restorative yoga again uses props but in a different way. It really helps you to fully relax and let go. And some people can say that restorative yoga is almost as relaxing as having a nap, or even more so. I teach vinyasa. Oh my God, I love vinyasa. So vinyasa is a fluid type of yoga, and it's very movement intensive. It's strengthening. It's gets you a little bit sweaty, or as I like to say, glowy. But it also helps you to really relax and focus as well. I just love it. So other types of yoga are things like blends. So I also teach core yoga, which is a combination of vinyasa and Pilates, so strengthening the core. There's hot yoga, so it's in a hot room like Bikram, but it doesn't follow the 26 poses. And there's all types of, blends or focuses and different things. So you can try so many different types of yoga and get a different experience every time. The other things that may change your experience are the teacher. So some teachers are very spiritual or speak a lot about the spiritual and the ancient side of yoga. Other teachers are very meticulous around their technique and talking about, anatomy and all that type of stuff. And other teachers, probably like me, I'm from a personal training background and also from that real stress reduction background. I kind of teach a fairly no-nonsense way of looking at yoga. So I'm not as much into the spiritual side, but I do love the meditation, and not as much into the perfect alignment and those types of things. Everyone's different. The ambience of the room can make a difference. So if you've been to a room that just didn't feel right, a studio that just didn't feel right, then that can make a difference to your practice and your experience of the practice. The other one's the time of day. This is a huge one. I was just teaching a yoga class this morning at 6:15 in the morning. So everyone sort of rolled out of bed, come to class. And we're so much tighter in the mornings. A pose that we could normally do easily later in the day is quite hard, much harder in the morning. And we need to be mindful of that and forgiving of that. Whereas later in the day, you might want to do some really calming poses to help you get ready for bed. So time of the day will change your practice. And then props. So we do use different types of props in classes, and some teachers use them, some teachers don't. Some types of yoga use them, some others don't. I find they're really great, especially when you're new, because they help you to get into the right alignment, make the pose a little bit easier, and help you get ready to move to the next level. So every class is different in that way. So if you're considering starting your yoga, I just highly recommend that you find a class that suits you. So if you've been to one class and didn't enjoy it, then come back and try a different type of class. Try a different teacher, try a different time of the day. These things will make a difference to your practice. So do a bit of research, try a few different things out, get a recommendation from someone that you trust. So here's some real stories from some of my students, which I love to share as well, just so you know that it's a real thing. Yoga is a real thing for real people. So Lisa Marie's in her 50s, and she said, I used to worry I wouldn't be flexible enough, but if you put this aside and you can see a beginner pose and then an intermediate and then the ultimate pose, you can see where you can get to. I can see my flexibility and strength increasing even after only a few weeks. So it's just amazing how quickly things change if you commit to a consistency. It doesn't have to be every day, but if you do once a week, you will see changes even only after a few weeks. All right, secret number 2 is no one's watching you except the teacher. So a lot of people I know say to me, I don't want to do yoga because I don't want to look silly. I don't think I don't want everyone laughing at me. Not that anyone would, of course. You wouldn't laugh at someone either. But no one's looking. No one's looking at you except hopefully the teacher. The reason for that is they're too busy. They're focused on their body and their breath, which consumes their mind. No one else in that room cares what you're doing. To be really honest, they're just concerned about themselves and their own practice. And the time will go so fast and you'll think, wow, what actually happened there, because you are so focused on the moment. And I find the expectation of being perfect is the number one thing that holds us back. And I see that a lot with my health coaching clients as well, that if they can't do something perfectly, there's no point. And then they get stuck doing the same things over and over again because they're used to doing those things. Same thing with yoga. And yoga, you've probably heard me saying, yoga is referred to as a practice. And we call it a practice because we're always practicing. Like, yoga's not about being perfect. And it's about just practicing every time. And some days will be better than others. So when you start your yoga practice, look for a small class where you can get individual attention and you can see what the teacher is doing. Or you can ask her questions later. Or even get some private coaching. So you've got your offer there of 15 minutes private coaching with me. I'd love you to take that up. But if you can afford to, it's great to do a little bit of private coaching at some stage, because you will just be able to ask the questions you want to ask and just take away some of the fears that you might have. So this is Karen. She said, I was certainly worried about being able to get it right. Am I coordinated enough not to look stupid? But having attended 4 classes now, I realize these worries are all unrealistic because nobody cares if you get it right or not. You just get shown encouragement. It is so relaxing and enjoyable. I will keep going forward and not look back. And I love this about Karen because she did come to some classes late last year and really did not get into it. And now she's come back because she's realized that she kind of missed the point. She was trying to be perfect and wanted it to just flow perfectly every time, and realized now that's not actually the point. She's learning something every week. Her body's being challenged. She's finding that relaxation time. So I love Karen's story. Secret number 3 is yoga really is for all body shapes and all body sizes, men, women, old people, young people, flexible people, not flexible people. It is for everybody. And I love this photo because this was taken at my new studio launched a few months ago. And you can see just from this photo, we've got lots of different shapes and sizes. We've got lots of age groups, men and women, and it really is accessible for every single person. The number one thing I hear, though, the number one objection I get when I ask people about joining a yoga class is, I'm not flexible enough for yoga. And my answer to that is, that's why you do yoga. Yoga's important because it does help to increase flexibility, and we need our flexibility to reduce the chance of injury from other sort of other exercise we're doing or just day-to-day stuff. It'll help your day-to-day stuff tasks become easier. Bending down will be easier. Reaching up for something on the top shelf will be easier. So that's really, really important. And it helps the body to feel more relaxed. If you're really tight, then your whole body feels tense all the time, and it's not supposed to feel like that. So it's really important to allow your body to relax. And the other beautiful thing that I'm noticing a lot lately in my own body is how it lengthens and makes the body leaner. So you're a bit taller, and you just feel like you're sort of stronger and leaner. Quite amazing. And everyone can benefit. As I said, I've got men and women in classes, large people, skinny people. I have teens. I've had people in their late 60s. My mum's turned 69 this year and she's in one of my classes. So it may feel a bit daunting to get started, but just know that someone like you has done yoga and you can do it too. And what I love, one of the best feelings is that feeling of being able to do something with your body that you couldn't even do 2 weeks ago. And that's what you get from yoga. You can keep trying new things and you'll notice all of a sudden 1 week you'll go, wow, I can do that now. And so that's always a fantastic feeling. So this is from Stephanie. She said, I love yoga. I would do it more if I could. I love the stretching. I always feel taller and more relaxed after a session. I adore the corpse pose at the end. I'm very good at that one. It's a little joke from her. My biggest fear was being too fat to get into different positions. However, there are so many levels for each pose that has never been a problem. So these are Stephanie's words, but Stephanie is a large girl and she really thought she may not be able to do yoga. We were doing some personal training and health coaching, and I just sort of said, look, you can. We will just find a way for it to work for you. So even if you do have a lot of weight on you at the moment, that doesn't matter. We can find, a good teacher will find modifications to make it easier for you to participate. Secret number 4, a few little tips on how to get prepared for your first class. So what you need is obviously to wear the right clothes. So you're normally barefoot in a class. It gives you that grounding and that stability on your feet. You want to be wearing sort of exercise gear, so something comfortable that you can stretch around in and move around in. And you also, I would recommend not wearing a really loose t-shirt, because you might get upside down in a downward dog or something and your t-shirt might fly up over your head, and it's just another thing to distract you. So I'd recommend something that's fairly form-fitting. It doesn't have to be skin tight, but fairly form-fitting. I would also recommend bringing your own mat. So I find, some studios do offer you mats, and that's completely fine. That's great. But you just don't know how often they've been cleaned, and people do get quite sweaty in yoga. And I just like the idea of having my own mat. So I would recommend that you do bring your own mat, but just see what your studio is doing. But if you do want to get a mat, my favorite place to get them from is Stretch Now. And there's a link there for you if you're interested. I have no affiliation with Stretch Now, by the way, but I just really like their gear. The other thing you need to do is make sure you're hydrated. So drink water before the class, bring your water bottle to the class, drink during the class, and drink after the class as well. Turn off your phone, please. It's very distracting for everybody if the phone goes off, and especially for the person whose phone it is, because A, it's embarrassing for them, and B, then they start to think, why was such and such calling me? And it might distract them from their actual experience. So turn off your phone or leave it at home. Please, please, please. Get there a bit early. So if you've never been to a class before, you're going to have some paperwork to fill out. But you can also get there early to talk to your teacher. Maybe you've got a bit of soreness, or you want to ask her a question about something you learnt last week. And you might also find that you have a spot in the room, in the studio, that you really enjoy. So if you get there early, you can make sure you get the same spot every time. It can feel a bit strange to stand in a different spot and try and do the same class. A bit unusual. Maybe that's just me being a bit OCD. Another little strange one is to minimize your perfume. A lot of people get very distracted by perfume, and if there's a room full of people and everyone's got some strong perfume on, it's going to be distracting for everyone. So it's just nice if everyone minimizes that. And try not to eat much beforehand. So give yourself 2 hours of not eating beforehand, just to have an empty stomach. You're going to do lots of twisting and turning. It's going to stimulate the digestion, and it can make you uncomfortable if you've got too much food in your belly. If you do have a first thing in the morning class, then maybe just have a couple of bites of a banana or something beforehand, just so you don't have a fully empty stomach. And just a little secret is that somebody will probably fart in a class at some stage, and it's completely normal. It happens all the time, and that is because we're twisting and turning, and the digestion is being stimulated. So just so you know, it might happen to you, it might happen to the teacher, it might happen to somebody else. And it's good just to know, because then you're sort of prepared for when it happens. A, you won't feel embarrassed if it happens to you, because it does happen all the time. And B, you'll know not to make a big deal out of it. And I thought I'd just throw this in here. If you do have your own mat, you might like to make your own mat cleaner, because then you can make sure that every few goes that you're keeping the mat clean and fresh. So I recommend getting a spray bottle, filling it 3/4 with water, fill the rest of the bottle with vinegar, add a few drops of essential oil like lavender, orange is a nice one, and just shake it. And then you just spray that gently onto the mat and wipe the mat clean. So that's a little handy one there. I'll just leave that up for a few extra seconds in case you want to write that down. So another real story, and I think Ash has got this right on the money. The reason she loves yoga, my thing is trying to quieten the chatter in my head and find that total peace and quiet. Doesn't that just sound awesome? Okay, so I would like to get you started with 3 poses. So I'm not going to show you this one actually, but just so you know, this is a cobra pose. But basically I'm giving you a free little mini yoga class so you can get started straight away. So your first class is your first pose is the downward facing dog. So this is a very common pose, and you will have probably seen this somewhere before. So you start on your hands and knees, entire surface of your palms pressing into the floor, and you dig your toes into the mat, tuck your toes under, and then slowly lift the knees and straighten your knees only as much as is comfortable. So this lady's got straight knees, but that's not the big thing. I'll explain that in a sec. So press equally into the hands and lift your sit bones in the air, so your tail is up in the air, and push your belly towards your thighs and pull the belly in. So you can see her belly's pulled in here. So what you really want to get is that straight line. See from her wrist all the way through her arms up to her tailbone is a beautiful straight line. That's what you're aiming for. And then as you become more flexible and stronger, you can start to straighten the legs and push the heels to the ground. But we're really working from the wrists through to the tailbone first, and then we'll bother with the bottom of the legs, bottom of the body. So just allow your head to hang naturally and stay there for 5 to 10 breaths. 10 breaths is a long time, I know. So just stay where start where you are. Just hold it for as long as you can. Perhaps challenge yourself slightly. Triangle pose. I love this picture. That's why I chose it for the cover. But she is practicing on some rocks, and I would recommend maybe a mat, at least while you're getting started. In case you tipped over, that'd be a bit nerve-wracking over the cliff. So start with your feet double hip width apart, and the one foot's got the toes facing the front of the mat. So you can, if you look at her feet, the one that's going over the edge of the cliff, her foot's straight in front of her, and the other foot's toes are angled in slightly towards that front foot. So you can see that foot's turned in slightly as well on the picture. Keep the hips in line with the knees and keep the shoulders in line with the long edge of the mat. So you can see that her shoulders are facing us here, and her hips are kind of mostly facing us, but also in line with her knees. So place your hands on your hip bones, just where you can feel it interact with your legs. Inhale and start to hinge towards this foot that's at the front, the straight foot. And once you can feel your waist is starting to bend instead of hinging from the hips, then just drop that bottom hand to wherever it lands. So it might be the shin, it might be the foot. If you're really flexible, it might be the floor, but you're keeping your legs fairly straight. You can soften the knees slightly if required, but we don't have really bent knees in this pose. And then you want the top hand to reach towards the sky. I love her active fingers as well, looking up at those fingers if you can, or looking forwards or looking down, wherever it's comfortable, but your ideal is to have your eyes looking up at your hand. Stay now for 5 deep breaths. Inhale and then exhale, and look up at the bottom hand. Look down at the bottom hand, and then inhale again and lift up through the waist. So it's a bit more to this pose, but it's a really good one for just challenging your hips and your arms. It actually works the entire body. And the last pose I'm going to show you is the child's pose. And I call this your emergency pose because you can use this anytime during a class if you need to take a break. You can also use it anytime during the day if you need to take a break. If the world gets a bit overwhelming, come into child's pose. Just close the door and come into child's pose. Take some breaths. So to get into child's pose, you start on your hands and knees, touch your big toes together and keep your knees together. But if you do need to, you can open your knees up and let your belly fall through. So wherever you feel comfortable, but ideally your knees are together. And then you press your tailbone back towards your heels and stretch your hands out in front of you on the mat. So you can feel that stretch through your shoulders, and you can feel your lower back start to release. And then just allow the forehead to come to the floor, or place it on a cushion or a blanket, and take some breaths. So if you've started to do this at home right now, take some breaths. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. And again, inhale And exhale. Ah, that feels wonderful. So don't forget your child's pose. You can use it anytime. So our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? And the answer is actually, who are you not to be? And the reason I put this up is fear can hold you back from trying out new things, and fear can hold you back from trying out new things that will really change and increase and benefit your life. And yoga is one of those things. Like, I know it sounds like it couldn't possibly be, but yoga can really change lives. So who are you not to try it to see if it can change your life? That's how I feel anyway. So far, I've probably answered a lot of your questions about yoga. I've talked to you about perfectionism not being required. I've helped you think about body shapes and fitness levels and how they can all be catered for. I talked a bit about how you might not have enjoyed yoga in the past, and that could be because you've tried the wrong type, or the studio wasn't right, or the teacher wasn't right, or a lot of different reasons. And you can see now from some of the stories I've shared how real people can actually benefit from yoga, and they can really enjoy it, how much of a difference it can make to your life. But there might be one thing you're still thinking. You're probably still thinking, if this is your problem, I can't find a class. So there might be no classes in your town, or there might be no classes nearby that actually suit you and your schedule, or that class might be available to you, but it's full of other people and you can't get a spot, or you can't get the attention you'd like, or it just doesn't suit you. And so the obvious question might be, how could I have my own private yoga teacher? That's what I really want. And the answer is this. I'm now launching my Go with the Flow program. And so it's a stronger, calmer, more flexible mind, body, and spirit in just 6 weeks. So I feel like any woman anywhere in the world who has internet access can start and maintain a yoga practice using the Go with the Flow program, because it's a personalized 2-way program that is easy to understand, plus it's available 24/7 from the comfort of your own home. So you can now have your own private yoga teacher, me, available to you for 6 weeks to look after you and the start of your yoga practice. So what's included in Go with the Flow? Well, you get a different yoga class every week that you can do in the comfort of your own home at a time that suits you. You get a weekly yoga mindset video to help you feel happier, calmer, accepting, and more resilient in everyday life. You'll get photos, audios, and videos to guide you through your weekly yoga practice. You'll get a new healthy living habit to incorporate into your lifestyle with worksheets, videos, and recipes to support your transition. You'll also have access to a weekly Q&A call that you can attend live to ask me questions, or you can email your questions to be answered, and you can watch this Q&A video when you're available. And that's a really huge benefit, because you can see what other people are going through and get benefit from their questions, things you might not have even thought of asking. So you get all of this in the time it will take for you to drive to your local studio, find a parking space, go to the yoga class, find a spot if you can see the teacher, and then get home again. And this is available to you at your leisure when you are available, because it's all available on the internet. And plus, because this is the first time I'm running the program, I would like to offer you lifetime access to the program and any materials that I update along the way. So it's a really huge offer. So how will you expect to feel at the end of the 6 weeks? You should feel fitter, stronger, more flexible, and calmer. You'll have improved sleep, better productivity, more motivation, and as a result, a happier you and happier loved ones. You will sail through minor upsets and feel more resilient for anything that comes your way. You'll finally have an excuse to go clothes shopping for smaller sizes, not larger ones. And you can decide that your body is worth the best attention and care that you can give it. And I wish we would all decide this a bit earlier. That's what all my clients say. Plus, you free up brain space from worrying and fretting and making room for rainbows and unicorns instead. All right, I've gone too far, but you know what I mean. So imagine having more space in your mind for things that really matter and taking away all those worries and stresses, or not taking them away, but learning to deal with them in a different way. So what else do you need to know? Well, the program starts on the 11th of April, so Monday week. And as I said, the program is completed from the comfort of your own home at a time that suits you. And it's 6 weeks long. So you get 6 weeks worth of classes, 6 weeks worth of health coaching as well, and 6 weeks of support. So there's an early bird offer. So till the end of Monday, this coming Monday, the 4th of April, you can get the 6-week program for $97, which is really a bargain, because that's how much it would cost you to go to 6 yoga classes, really. But this way you get to actually get the health coaching, you get the Q&A questions, you get to learn about new healthy habits, new mindset. You get so much more than just rocking up to a class. Plus, if you can't get to classes, if there's no classes nearby, then how amazing is this? And if there are classes nearby, how amazing that you don't have to drive anywhere. You can do it all from home. After the 4th of April, the price will be $147, and there is that link there if you're interested in having a look. So, does anyone have any questions? I would love to know if you do. I've got a few questions that I'm expecting, so I'm going to give you some questions and answers to start with, and if there's anything more, just let me know. So the first question is, I've never done yoga before, will I be okay? And the answer is yes. I specialize in teaching beginners yoga. I will guide you from the easiest version of a pose right through the more advanced option when you're ready. So you're in safe hands if you've never tried yoga before. Question 2, what type of yoga is in the course? I'm certified to teach Vinyasa style, which is a flowing style, which is quite fairly vigorous, but we can, as I said, we start at the beginner level. And I also am certified to teach core yoga, which is a combination of the Vinyasa that I mentioned plus Pilates. So we will have both those styles in the course. Question, will I need to buy anything special to do the course? Answer, I do recommend a good quality yoga mat, and I've put the Stretch Now link into the chat box. Other items that I would think about would be props such as a blanket, which you've probably got at home, a strap, which you could use an old belt if you wanted to, or you could buy a strap and a block or a couple of blocks, and you could get those easily at Kmart or somewhere like that. You can get them on Stretch Now, or you could even just use like Tupperware containers and different things from home if you really wanted to. So you could spend another $50 or so if you needed to, but it's not really required. I would invest in a good yoga mat though. You're worth it, so you should. Is there anyone that can't do this course? Well, it's not recommended during pregnancy. I do apologize for that, but some of the poses that we will do are not recommended for pregnancy. Not recommended for high blood pressure that's not under control. So if you're in the process of doing that with your GP, perhaps now is not the time for the course. And obviously if you've just sprained or had some sort of injury, then this is not the time for you either. So if you're feeling at all concerned, if you haven't done any exercise for quite a long time and you're a bit worried about starting something, just go to the doctor and get a clearance. You'll be fine, unless you have any of those 3 things that I mentioned: pregnancy, uncontrolled high blood pressure, and an actual acute injury that's just happened. Last question I've got is, will you run this course again? And yes, I will. I plan to run it a few times a year. Thank you so much for watching my yoga webinar. Obviously the dates have passed for the first round of Go with the Flow, but I have new courses starting every few months. If you would like to join the next round, check below for the latest dates and email me to register. If you use the code FLOGY, you will receive the very special bonus price of $97 with lifetime access to the course. All the best for your future yoga pursuits. Even if you don't join my program, I would love to know that you have started your yoga journey somewhere. Keep in touch and let me know how you go.